Okay, I'm up here today at Shin Road, and you can see we have some tags that showed up on these rocks last night. Today I'm not going to be doing demos or anything. I'm just going to be doing before and afters on the graffiti to show you what it looks like after Kover Kote. This rock's had paint on it from the county, so I'll record this in a little bit and come back and you can see what it looks like done. Okay, continuing on, I'm down underneath the bridge at Shin Road, and as you can see, the county guys are pretty much keeping this under control lately. They come in and hit these tags hard and often. Scott Haig, the fire department over here, and I used to come in and do these all the time with paint, but as you can see, there's a lot of tags, and this is just a mural. So what the county has done is they've actually got a contract, and these guys come in and hit this constantly. And you can see over here, that's almost solid paint because there's so many tags at the end of a week. We used to paint it and go through 5 gallons of paint so fast. And the thing with Kover Kote on these large structures, pretty impossible to keep up with it, so paint is definitely an alternative. Another way you can do it is you put down a base and then you go back and hit it with Kover Kote. But like I said, the volume of Kover Kote would just be probably not very practical. I'm going to walk over here. You can see a rock that I had Kover Koted and it didn't get any tags for about 6 months. But now that they're using paint again, it's starting to get tagged again. So I'm going to have to talk to them and see, because it was a little bit of an experiment to discourage this. When I first did this rock, this thing was solid paint. You couldn't even see rock. And I got Kover Kote on there. The touch-ups were easy. But there again, this is a high hit graffiti area. So the county wanted to get a grip on it, hit it solid every chance they got graffiti up here. And what that does, it really does slow the tagging down a bit. The unfortunate thing is these guys come up and start tagging all the stream rocks. And that's pretty much where Kover Kote comes in at this point. You can see they got the paint color a little bit different, and that's one thing I don't like about paint, is it's not natural. But there again, I like to stress that on these big structures, you really need to not even worry about Kover Kote, because it's just too much material and paint is easier. Kover Kote was really designed to go on rocks in the streams. I did some up on the road. They're drying right now. We'll film those later. And then what that'll do is they'll blend right back in. See, here's a little tag on a rock. That's a perfect example of what Kover Kote would work. So we'll just be moving on here up and down the stream and showing you before and afters on Kover Kote today. As you can see, it's a gorgeous Easter morning up here in the canyon. Everybody's headed up the Mount Baldy Road to go tear the place up. And a lot of hikers, a lot of people. Maybe a little, I'm standing on part of the old Baldy Road here, as you can tell. They used to go all the way up to the city. And this is the stream bed down here. The tags, you can see some Kover Kote tags down there. They held up pretty good. And just to give you an idea on this area, this is my backyard. This is where I did all my research development on Kover Kote several years ago. We're going to be hiking back in here. This is an old bridge abutment where the road used to cross. And volunteer group I was in for, did 1,200 hours with last 3 years, has been kind of limited, I think, on their getting back here and doing graffiti, because it's just got to be so overwhelming. And when we get back here, this will be a real wake-up call for people who haven't seen this. And here's a tag that's held up remarkably well, and I'm going to get this rock on purpose on the way out, because I've been monitoring this rock for years, and the Kover Kote actually on that rock will last upwards of a year before it gets re-tagged. As you can see, they're tagging the old Baldy Road pretty hard all the way up here because there's no monitoring of it. Fairly amazing. You can see the trail goes pretty far up the mountain. There's a Boy Scout, or well, it's a lookout point that the Boy Scouts built. And there's a rock up there that's kind of been one of my pet peeves. We call it the Boy Scout rock, and actually somebody has painted over it. So there's other people up here doing this as well, it looks like. So we're just going to hike along here. And as you can see, this road went around the curve down by the fire station, and back in the day this is how you got up to Mount Baldy. And there's still segments of this road pretty much everywhere. And as you can see, we'll pan down here as I'm walking. Try not to jiggle the camera too much. We're coming upon the bridge, and apparently the county is not doing this anymore. But I did an experiment a while back and did this end cap on the bridge, and it held for quite a while until the taggers started hitting it again. And as you can see, they do the pipes, they do the rocks, they do the stream, and when I step down, you're going to be amazed how many tags there are up here. I was up Cucamonga Canyon the other day. They're getting ready to do a big cleanup up there and get that canyon under control. As you can see, that's about 20 feet down on a wall. This is part of the old road. As you can see, it just falls off into no man's land. But the taggers don't waste a square inch up here. They get it all, man. There's the rocks, and there's the stream. Let me zoom in a little bit. There's some tags there. And then I'm up on the edge of the road, and you can see, I'll film them when I'm downstairs, but you can see the masterpieces up here. These are the big tags that guys put a lot of time, a lot of energy into to really make their mark. And these tags, like we talked about before, have to be painted. You couldn't begin to cover coat and keep up with them. So I'm going to proceed up the stream and we'll resume. Okay, I came down to stream level. I was up standing on that a moment ago, and you can see these walls. They were repainted a while back, but this is the level of tagging up here. I'm going to get up here and try not to slip and break my neck. But this is how much expenditure is put into this thing to tag it. They do the beams, they do all of this back here. And the level of paint used is almost commendable, but not. So you can check that out. The average public never gets back here. They don't see how much really goes on back here. These rocks are done. I'll do this wall real quick. And this is in the water, so the stream actually goes through here like it did 50 years ago. And it's real treacherous here. So you can see downstream, even across the stream, they're tagging the rocks. That's way across the stream. I'm giving a little shots here and there. And they tag it up pretty good. So I'm going to continue on my journey up the stream. Okay, I proceeded a little bit upstream. I'll pan back over here. You can see the bridge that I was up on top of through the trees. Just give you guys a little bit of an idea. All these rocks were cover coated and actually held for a year. But the thing with that is you have to come back and keep touching them up and get the new graffiti, and if you let it go, they start taking it all back over. And I'm going across here, you can see a pretty good array of trash there and graffitied rocks. You got graffitied rocks all over this place. I'm going to walk a little further up here, show you some of the rocks and just the level this area has been painted. It hasn't been maintained a lot because of the shortage of volunteers lately, and you can kind of see a lot of these areas were pretty much under control. But the minute they start using gray paint, if you look, every area that had gray paint or brown paint has been re-tagged. That is the beauty of cover coat, is that you really don't see where it was covered. So they either pick another area, but they don't keep going back and pounding the same rocks. And it kind of seems to take a little bit of energy out of the whole program. Here's a rock that's constantly been beat on, and I had that thing covered with cover coat fairly well. But like I said, there hasn't been any maintenance. And once this gray paint started, I don't know who started using this again. Probably a group up here, individual, I don't know. There's a lot of people that come up and try to help out, but then sometimes they do more damage than good. And you can see Kover Kote was used and slathered on pretty heavily right here. And Kover Kote was used there, and then somebody came along with gray paint. So the minute the gray paint goes on, you can see the Kover Kote area. It doesn't have any paint on it, because Kover Kote leaves a real absorbent, rough surface, but it's natural looking, and the tags don't look very good. The minute you put paint down, you have a base now that you can put a tag on. It actually doesn't look too bad. Up the stream a little ways, and this area hasn't really changed that much. Again, using this gray paint, you can see they've targeted every single area that had gray paint on it. It's kind of a defiance thing. And I'll pan back around here because this is new. I haven't been back in this canyon probably 6 months, because it's a little depressing actually. And the water's down, so the fishing's not there right now. But this is a rock that was consistently hit with Kover Kote, and then somebody put paint back over it. But you can see the Kover Kote was blended into the tag. This is what I try to preach and teach. So that looks pretty natural. And even on this end, there was Kover Kote. And it's not 100% preventative, but you can see this rock used to be completely covered with tags, and there's just a few on here, because they will try to paint over the Kover Kote. Let's go up the canyon a little bit here. And now this is a shot a lot of you guys probably don't see. The sun coming up over the ridge here, Easter morning. Just absolutely beautiful. And here's a rock that somebody, looks like Alf or Asp, or I don't know what that middle letter is. It looks like an S. Put a lot of time in. So go back here because they just walked past this. So this is what you get up here. You get a lot of these guys that are actually branding themselves with these tags, and it's just kind of a waste of talent, because some of these guys are really talented painters. And I don't know, I guess you outgrow this at some point in time. I'm going to proceed up the stream and join back up with you in a few. I'm proceeding back up into the canyon, and I'm going to be looking for Kover Kote that I did 2 to 4 years ago. This is an area that I did all my R&D. I'm not going to disclose it, and because you won't find it anyway. But here's an example of a rock that was done probably 2.5 years ago. And you can see, pretty much walk right by that, not even notice it. I've seen a few new rocks that were tagged up here, and I'll be looking for different things. I'll come back with you guys in a little bit. Okay, I'm a little further up the creek, and in my lab, the rock garden, here's a rock where I really first started testing Kover Kote, and I probably went through 50 to even probably 100 different colors. And this rock has been touched up by people. I've changed my color, and the blue tag was original underneath that 3 years ago. So that's how well this rock has weathered in the outside. And the white tag is an arrow, so that's some directional arrow to get up to the 3 trees area. That is what we call it. It's an area up in the gorge where there's a pond, little party point. A lot of people will park up on the road right in that vicinity there and hike in. And you can see the road pretty much goes all along. There's a drain pipe right there. And show you some of these rocks that were hit. This rock had never been hit, so I'm going to be cover coating that today. We'll come back through and film that. I want you guys to see how well this stuff holds up. Now here's some of the early cover coating, really dark phase that I had. And this tag's still working. And there's somebody that re-tagged on Kover Kote. You can see what happens. It really sucks up the vehicle in the paint. so you don't really get that great of a tag. Here's another rock that was done way back, and it was original cover coat. Cover coat had been put back over. You can see the darker, because the one batch I had was a little darker, and over a tag, and it's still holding. And I'll touch that up today and blend all that in, so you won't even notice that one. Okay, I'm going to proceed around this area and just show you. I probably have done over 200 rocks testing in this area. Here's a rock that was done with a color that was way off, and it still hasn't been tagged because it looks so natural when you walk by it. And that's the whole idea. This is a rock I'm really proud of. Get up underneath there. I cover coated that 3 years ago, and it's got rust and things dripping down through the rocks. And the beauty of cover coat is it causes some of these rocks to go off and rust, as you can see right there. That's where I'd probably set my bowl. And here's a rock up here that's new. Like I said, I haven't been up here in quite some time, so I'm going to be going back over really not too many cover coat tags, but I'm going to do quite a few tags up here to give you guys an idea what this stuff looks like. There's a rock there that we'll do, and then everybody asks me how does it work on the rocks like that one with a lot of iron ore in them. And actually it's pretty neat because you put it on, the stuff rusts out through the cover coat, and you couldn't duplicate that if you tried. Special effects. There's a cover coat on a rock. We have volunteers using this up here, so when you see these big patches like this that are not floated out, I teach technique to float it out to where it's blended all over the rock. These guys are doing a heck of a job. They're putting on just a little bit thick, but that's okay. A little bit thick is better than nothing. And then I don't know if I can find the rock, but a few years ago I did a rock down here, about 3 years ago. I painted half with cover coat and half with, I just left the gray paint, and I want to see what they tag. And there's gray paint there. Oh, here it is down here. So you can see that's a cover coat rock that had been really beat up down by the stream. Hasn't been touched. Here's a lot of stream rocks down here. I'll show you. This is what we like to refer to in the Forest Service, in the volunteer business, is a party point. You can see that the choice of paint was whatever was probably on sale at Home Depot that day. There's cover coat and EMI on the stream, and no, actually it looks like gray paint. And it's really sad. My mission is not to. The reason why I invented cover coat was you can graffiti urban, you can do bridges, you can do things downtown. That's not an issue. My problem is coming out in the forest, taking this area out, and just making a mess out of it. And it could actually be a beautiful place, and you can still party and have fun. The forest guys have even talked about just letting you guys have that bridge down there to graffiti, because it gets painted so much, and just leave the rocks alone. Because I don't know how many of your friends are ever going to get back here and see your tags, because this is a pretty tough area to find. But anyway, so much for my soapbox. So, give you an idea, I'm going to go back through, and I have a pretty good idea where all these tags are. I'll touch them all up and come back and see what it looks like dried, and you're going to really have to look for it. I'm going to have painted tags. I'm going to have actually a couple tags with cover coat on them. We'll do an iron oxide type rock. There's another one down there in the bushes, you can see. I'll be hiking in and doing that one. And here's a rock with some gray paint on it. And these are a challenge because of the color differential, but I'll show you guys how to blend this when it's all done. Okay, as I said, I was going to come back and show you what I've done. About an hour and a half has gone by. I've been up here doing some tags, covering some stuff up. We'll walk around real quick show you guys kind of what this stuff looks like when it's drying or dried. There's a rock there that was covered with a huge tag that I did. That's a tag that I feathered out. This had an arrow down below. You can kind of see how that blends in. When this dries, you pretty much will walk right by all of this, never even notice it. Here's a rock here that was cover coated, tagged, cover coated, because it's kind of a corner rock. Everybody hits it pretty regularly. So what I did is I went in, feathered it, smoothed it all out, and these rocks are kind of tough. You can do the best you can on, but they get hit pretty bad because they're right in the middle of the trail, unfortunately. And here's a rock that I floated out. You can get an idea. Doesn't look too bad. And there's some old cover coat, and that still hasn't been tagged. It wasn't done overly well, but it hasn't been tagged. Okay, this is still drying. I did this a moment ago, and this is a pretty cool rock because when this, it's got a couple little wet spots in there, but boy, that blends right in. And that's a rock I had done years ago, and apparently somebody put gray paint on it, so I feathered it back in. And as you can see, there's residual battleship gray paint left. Somebody came in about 2 years ago and hit this whole area with gray paint, and as soon as they did that, the tags just increased tenfold. I'm going to take you up here, show you an iron oxide rock, and the cool thing about these is when I do them, I don't worry too much about the blending, because what I found is the minute cover coat hits that iron ore in that rock, it starts rusting within a few days, and you end up with a pretty rusted out, natural looking rock. And then cover coat underneath there, that blends absolutely perfect. And I'm gonna have to kind of look around here because I did so many tags. I think I did about 25 tags. Here's one with blue paint, and I didn't put a ton of cover coat, but you can kind of see that doesn't even catch your eye going by, and that was a baby blue tag. Here's a rock that gets hit a lot, and one of the volunteers did this, put it on a little thick, so I just floated it. They did a great job. They're still using a little too thick, but that's okay. Here's another one, and then we can, if I don't fall on my neck, break my neck, you can see, I'll just have to zoom up there. There's a rock there that I did. There's one there that had dark, bright green paint on it. You can't even see it. Yeah, that one's right there. You can see that one. There you go. Then we'll come back around. It's really bright sunlight today. I like doing this early in the morning before all the light comes back. It gets the middle of the day, because then tags really show what you've done, because the majority of the time the sun's not right on top of these. Here's a rock that I started this whole product with about 4 years ago. Very few tags. It's probably got about 10 layers of cover coat on it, and I think they've given up tagging it because it's so absorbent. Here's another example of a rock, and I can pan around. Like I said, I probably did about 23, 25 tags today. So they're all around here. And as you walk through the rock garden here, my workshop, you have to really look for these tags. I know where they're at, but the focal point's been taken off of them. This was a white arrow on a rock. You can see that just blends right in. There's a couple further up there that had arrows. I took them out. So it makes it a little more difficult to figure out where the trail is, because this leads back to 3 trees. If I can zoom in here, there's 3 pine trees right on a bluff up there, and that's where we all kind of nicknamed it to have a spot where our bearings are. And so that's a summary on cover coat before and after shots. I have some in the parking lot that I did really early when I got here this morning, and there's a million people down there now because it is Easter. So we'll pick those shots up when I hike out of here. Okay, we're back in the parking lot. It's all full of cars right now. But you can see there was graffiti here this morning. If I can get in, there's people parked on top of these rocks. This rock was hit pretty hard. I photographed it earlier. And you can see the cover coat's dried. You don't even see it. And here's another rock that's been cover coated several times. And it pretty much blends right in. The average person will walk right by it. And here's a gray paint rock that probably is being done by the county. Here's a cover coat rock there that was done. I've got another one over here. Yeah, the top of that had graffiti on it earlier today. This one I put cover coat on at about 9 this morning. So you can see how the stuff dries and really blends right in. So this is a typical day up here. We've got a lot of people. I'll pan around here real quick. You got a ton of cars and people up here just picnicking. I'm the Creek Wizard, signing off. So that pretty much concludes the little mini cover coat documentary of how it came to be and the reason for the motivation to keep the forest clean. I think a lot of professional graffiti artists will tell me that they don't even agree with this destruction of the forest themselves. So anyway, that's it. Take care. The Creek Wizard, signing off.